Are MSD programs complex? Today's episode, I'm exploring this misconception. I do not think MSD programs are complex. There is absolutely nothing complex about MSD programs. But MSD programs are a lot more involving. By that I mean there's a lot of work to do before an MSD intervention, during an MSD intervention, and post MSD intervention. This is a lot more involving that you would typically expect in a sort of like a direct delivery program. And if you think about MSD is essentially facilitating the supply of an unmet demand, the facilitating of a particular service or product that your participant require, but it's not available to them, it's not accessible to them, it's not affordable to them. And you create the condition for a private sector to meet this unmet demand. There's nothing complicated about it. It's fairly straightforward. But it requires a set of skill in engaging the private sector or whichever actor you want to engage to resolve this problem. It means that you have to speak their language. You have to do proper investment analysis. You have to have a vision of how you're going to get to the ultimate destination. And that's the other thing that we often misconstrued in MSD, at least the professionals tend to. They fail to fully understand that MSD programs are essentially testing hypothesis. And hypothesis is not just the destination, it's not just the vision, it's the path that you take to get to the vision. That's what an MSD program is supposed to be testing. And it is lessons that you draw from the path that hopefully will then make it a bit more sustainable and scalable. So this, for me, doesn't mean that it's complicated. However, time to impact of an MSD program is slightly longer than, say, a direct delivery program. And that's because you're thinking in terms of systemic change. Systemic change requires system actors' behavioral change. Behavioral change doesn't happen in a typical 5-year program. You have signals for systemic change, but it typically will not happen in that time. So measuring the systemic change during the life of a program can be a bit more problematic because first of all, you have to have the vision, as I mentioned earlier. You have to have indicators that are appropriate for the behavioral change that you're chasing inside of that program. And to do that, it's a bit more complex. To align your MSD goal with a private sector company goal is a bit more problematic. And there's a particular issue around implementing companies. They have set policies, governance policies, that in some way can get in the way of an MSD intervention. A quick example is MOU. For instance, some implementing companies' policies will not allow you to have an MOU that is not legally binding with a private sector partner. You have to have a contract. And that essentially contradicts exactly what it is that MSD program are trying to do. So that can be a problem. Grants, co-funding, cost sharing, all of those are tools for us to use, right, to incentivize the private sector actor to join us in delivering a particular intervention. So these are very straightforward principles. It requires skill. It requires capacity to fully understand the principles around engaging private sector or engaging government. But that doesn't make it complicated. It doesn't make it complex. Very often you hear professionals say their programs are complex. It is not complex. There's nothing complex about your program. All it just means is that you need to do a lot more work than is typically done in development program. I'm sure a lot of you will have very varying opinion on this. Please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for sparing the time to watch this. See you next time.